Hello and welcome to the channel. We are the Hollow Grumps. I am Colum.
And I'm Liam.
And we're here today to talk to you about the last episode of Star Trek Picard. Episode 10, Et al. In Arcadia Ego Part 2. But before we do that, obviously, if we get you to like, subscribe, and comment below, because it really helps the channel grow. So we really do appreciate it. Things have been a bit complicated just because we've been working from different places at the moment. So, let's get into this episode.
This was written by Michael Chabon and Akiva Goldsman. And Colin, did you take down who directed the episode?
It's kind of obvious. It was Akiva Goldsman.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
What are your overall thoughts on the episode? Because there's no point in us just summarizing it and then going, yeah, well, you know, it was okay.
It didn't really leave much of an impact on me. I'm not going to say I hated it, because there were some nice moments in it. And it was very predictable at a lot of points. Where we left off for this season, I'd be happy enough to go into season 2 with that, because we haven't ruined the franchise.
Which is very, very, very lucky, because there's a lot of things going on in this episode, and a lot of it is hit and miss for me. But anything to do with a lot of the newer characters was quite hit and miss. But when I went back to some of the older characters, it was really nice to see them interacting again.
Okay, so the episode opens with our cold open with Narek arriving at the Borg cube. And we see Seven talking to Elrond, and she says that she has nowhere to go. She is just a lowly Xbox. When Narek's sneaking around the Borg cube, Rizzo sneaks up behind him with a knife, so maybe she couldn't recognize him. We jump back to the robot lab, and it was very hard to keep track of all the jumps back and forth in this episode. I tried, but at some point I just gave up marking where all the scene changes were. So we jump back to the robot lab where Picard is playing with a butterfly. Now this could be symbolism for Picard later on in the episode. So Doji visits Picard, and we saw Jurati skulking around in the corridor. Picard says, "Don't let the Romulans turn you into the monster that you fear. Stop building the beacon." We get a great line from Narek, which I loved. "I don't want to just be known as Narek the Zatvash washout."
All the stuff with him, it was actually marginally better than it used to be. I found that he was actually more enjoyable in this episode. Not that I'm saying it was a good episode by any major standards. As an end to the Picard series, or season 1, it was as good as we were going to get, I think. It was predictable, but it was as good as we were going to get. A lot of the characters were very samey. No one grew outside of...
I suppose.
In my opinion.
Soji barely even grew, though, as a character, if you think about it. I mean, her little change could have happened at any point, and then she comes back to being who she was in the first place. So she kind of just tiptoed across the line and then came back to being who she was. I didn't find much of a change in her character. In fact, the change was just undone. It was just the circumstances she was in changed. So Narek heads off on his merry way out of the Borg cube, and Elrond follows him. So we go back to the HMS Grande, and Rios is using some kind of psychic repair device to fix the HMS Grande.
Yeah, where did that come from?
I don't know. There were a lot of loose ends that kind of appeared during this episode, and were never really wrapped up.
I thought I was paying attention. I thought I was paying attention to all these little things. Like, there obviously wasn't.
And there are a lot of characters in this episode that their storyline just didn't go anywhere. It didn't wrap up. What, Colin, let me ask you, what happened to Narek at the end of this episode?
Oh, he, oh no. Oh dear. Did he,
Maybe one of our viewers can comment in the chat below to let us know. What happened to Narek in this episode?
Oh no.
Where did he wind up?
I can't remember now.
Did he run away with Sutra?
Jeez, I can't remember now. I'm drawing a blank.
Whilst Rios and Jurati are fixing the Grande, they start to hear this knocking outside the ship, and Rios says, "I know that sound." And we run out to the bridge of the ship. They look out the view screen, and it's Narek throwing rocks at the window of the ship.
Get away from my ship, you damn kids!
And I want to know, how often does this happen on the HMS Grande that Rios knows the sound? I know the sound of Romulans throwing rocks against my ship.
Damn space rocks.
So I've written down below crypto kung fu, and I can't remember who said this. I think it
I
was Girardi.
assume it was Sung. Was it?
It was Girardi speaking
Sung.
Girardi says
Yeah.
that Maddox said to her that Soon has great crypto kung fu.
But I don't imagine any point where Maddox would have brought up Sung. To this point, he hasn't existed. It's not as if they've gone, well, why don't we just consult Sung? He's an expert on robotics as well. No,
Yeah.
no, there's no point where she would have had a conversation with Maddox about Sung. Because Maddox went to that planet and she never saw him again until she killed him.
And Girardi never thought to say to Picard in the first episode that, oh yeah, there also happens to be another expert in cybernetics. His name is Soong. No, it's just Maddox who's missing.
But then, of course, Narek goes on to tell the story of Gamadan around a fire. They've a ship beside them, and they go camping by the fire.
Well, they just want some fresh air. They've been stuck in that ship for far too long now. And sure, Narek flew all the way there in his little shuttle. Probably couldn't even stand up or walk around in that thing.
Bless him, poor guy.
Oh, poor Narek. So we get our montage scene of Narek's putting together a team. So we get our cutting back and forward between the ship and
Them actually executing the plan, is it?
yeah.
There was about 3 minutes I missed of this entire episode, and I'll never get them back because I've no intention of watching it again. But as far as I know, I got as far as them walking up to the gate with the football and those two bald palookas getting in their way.
Yeah, the palookas want to search them. They want to search their bags. They don't have scanners or anything, which is what I thought was strange. So they're just going to do a general bag search. So Rios can walk in with a bomb stuck inside a football, as if they're not going to scan him, as if they're just going to say...
They have all this technology to make murder flowers and a little device that'll fix anything, and they can't detect a bomb inside a leather football.
In the 25th century? I mean, I couldn't get a bomb stuck inside a football into
Wouldn't
Disneyland.
It jingle? Like when he does, he volleys it at one point, and I was like, wouldn't it go?
Oh no, I just mean if you go to any theme park, like when I was in Orlando, we went to Disneyland. They had X-rays for big devices like that, so they're not. You're not going to be able to get, especially in this place, which is meant to be this top secret synth base. You're not going to be able to just walk in with a football containing a bomb. Picard can finally fly the Grande.
It was brilliant the way he references the Stargazer and the Picard maneuver. And that's how they figure it out. She goes, "Oh yes, we do something like I don't know. I think we'll call that the Picard maneuver. Oh wait, no, that's actually a thing." And he's like, "Oh well, it was on the Stargazer, not the Enterprise, and blah 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 blah." And that's how they figure out how to do this little trick of making thousands of ships.
I was expecting it to just be a gag at the Picard maneuver, and she'd say, "Wait, no, that's actually a thing," and he'd go, and then
pull
down his shirt. Luckily, that didn't happen.
Yeah, it actually became a plot point.
So the only thing I didn't like was Girardi was the one to say, "Make it so."
Did she?
Yeah, they were taken off from the ship, and then Girardi goes, "Okay, make it so," and he kind of does. Picard does his wink at the camera, and okay, he didn't actually.
Did he wink? Did he? Look, I'm just as clueless as you are. So if you tell me he winked,
Picard, make it so. So the humans then go to town on the androids and start beating them up, and it's
androids.
Yeah, he goes to town on the androids and start beating them up. So are Data and Doshi the only super enhanced androids that have like super strength and stuff? Because the others just get their asses handed to them.
I guess so. I think that answers the question then. Imagine they just tried to punch them and nothing happened. Oh.
And I'd also like to point out that this is where Narek and Sutra's stories end for this season.
Thank you for viewing.
Yeah. And of course, Seven kicks Rizzo into a pit.
Of oblivion.
And of course, this is just a setup so they can bring Rizzo back because she's such a fan favorite character.
She'll come back as a cyborg.
Yes.
She'll use Borg tech to come back.
Oh no! Don't give them ideas. I can just imagine her rising out of the
queen,
the abyss. Yeah, as a queen. Oh, that's what she's gonna do. She's gonna become queen of that Borg cube. Because remember, she said, "I would have been a much better Borg than you," and she'll be like a secret agent Borg in season 2. So at the same time that all of this is going on, we have our big thousands of spaceships in space battle. So the Romulans are facing off against a load of plants in outer space. And they eventually destroy the plants. And this is where Picard executes the Jurati maneuver.
Is that what we're calling
it? Sure, why not? Get our introduction to Captain Riker once again on board.
Captain Riker.
All I was thinking when they showed up was like, whoa, this is such a clear picture of the budget of this show. Where they spent all their money
on flowers.
Because every single ship is the exact same. There were so many of them stacked on top of each other that, to my viewing...
But also, I'd like to add, space is not two-dimensional. Like, it's not a flat plane. Like, why did they all just appear in front of the planet? Why didn't they just appear around the Romulans tactically?
All at different angles.
Yeah, at different vectors, just pointing at them.
Oh, keeps on trying to fire at the planet, and we get the great villain scene. This is before Starfleet showed up, sorry. And she keeps saying, "Okay, prepare to fire. On my mark, get ready to fire."
Just shoot.
Yeah. You may fire when ready.
Shoot.
Yeah, just fire. Just destroy this place.
Like, there should be no ceremony. Glass the planet and be done with it.
Yeah.
Why didn't they could have done that with one ship. They could have just arrived with one ship, a few photon torpedoes. Okay, that's it. Good. Right. Bye.
No, you have to remember they had to face off against the flowers.
But they could have fired a torpedo past the flowers.
How do you know the flowers don't have like extra tentacles on them that'll grab the torpedoes?
Torpedoes move very fast.
So Doji manages to assemble the relay, the thing, and sends a message off to the Synth Federation, who just comprises of a load of like snake-like, tentacly, cybernetic arms.
It's Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. It is. That's where they got the footage. Like the tentacles even talk. Like they have little mouths, and it's exactly like that. So it's from Spider-Man 2. I don't care what anyone says.
So Starfleet and the Romulans leave, and Picard passes out. My work here is finished.
Oh, my paychecks have run out.
So Picard dies, and Rios and Seven sit watching the sunset. I think it's their way of trying to insert optimism into the show.
Stop
or
killing
what they
people.
think to be optimism. Yeah. Elrond cries over Picard. I actually thought it was sad. I thought it was
a good bit of action.
Bad for Elrond. Yeah, poor Elrond. And so we get into our reused Borg cube set, which now has a fireplace stuck into it. And Data and Picard are having a conversation. It meandered a little bit. Overall, I thought it was a nice scene.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was one of the better scenes of the episode.
Why did they have that random Borg cube set up for Data's consciousness? Surely he could put them in Picard's chateau, which is where Picard seems to spend all this time.
Why are you saying it was the Borg set? It was just grey.
Oh no, it was the Borg set. When he was walking out, you can see the Borg walls in the background and everything.
Oh.
It was the Borg cube set that they were using.
It was just lame. That budget, they ran out of money in the last episode.
They couldn't get access to the chateau anymore.
They couldn't pay for Spiner and Frakes at the same time.
Yeah, so then Picard walks into the light and he's been reborn anew. He's now a golem. And Data requested Picard to terminate his consciousness before he leaves. Because he wants the ultimate human experience to not exist.
Okay.
as if he's going to learn from that. Yeah. So we get our blue sky scene with Data, and did you find this really creepy? Like he's
No,
sitting there with his
I
wine,
didn't.
like
I didn't. I didn't actually find it creepy at all. I thought it was a bit heavy-handed. It was a bit on the nose. It was as if It was as if he was gonna. Someone was gonna come with a gun and shoot him, and he was just getting his last sip of wine. But I don't think it was that bad. I don't think it was creepy or anything like that. I think it was. It was nice the way as he unplugged stuff, he got older, as if he was decaying, which was kind of cool. And it was nice in the way that this was Data's preconceived notion of how someone would die with dignity. That's what I think. You know, someone would have their last sip of wine, they'd go and they'd lie comfortably on their couch, and he created Picard to be there to comfort him as he died. So he had someone with him when he passed away. So to be honest, I think it was actually pretty okay.
no, I had no problem with the beats of the scene. It was the execution of it. It was the I don't know. It was kind of felt like there was this sexual tension that had built up where his expectations for what it's going to be like to die because of the way it was executed. That's the way I felt about it.
I think it could have been done. I suppose we'll disagree on it, but I think it could have been done a lot worse than it was.
Yes, yes, it could have been. But Picard's golem isn't augmented. So the only thing that's been changed about it is he doesn't have the brain abnormality.
Well, I reckon they aged him for this series, and they just pulled it back a bit.
Yeah,
Because
maybe.
I know Patrick Stewart himself is in great shape for his age.
Yes, he is. That's and then he put up a thing saying that Star Trek's now available for free on CBS.
For free.
Yes, Picard is available for free. That's how popular the show is.
These are difficult times. Anyway, let's move on with this because apparently Raffi and Seven fall in love.
Yeah, they had this scene where they were like sharing a drink and then they join hands, like the typical scene of couples getting together and they interlock fingers.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Sure. Whatever. It came a bit too quickly after Agnes and Rios. Like literally, it was like everyone's coupling up. What next? Picard and Elrond?
So, Colin, what are your thoughts on the show now moving
Moving
forward?
forward. Well, I have to say, I'm glad that this golem has 20 years to live, I guess. But I will say that it seems like a bit of a waste of all that work to save a 94-year-old man. Not that I don't love Picard, but in the grand scheme of things, it was something a bit wasted to save a 94-year-old man who had gone out with a bang, you know?
Yeah, what's he gonna do next?
What other service can he provide except for another season?
I mean, we all know the show is eventually going to end with Picard being killed or dying,
I
sacrificing
really
himself.
hope he gets trapped in the Nexus.
Look, I think that they dipped their feet into the water. They made some headway. The show wasn't an absolute train wreck. It was a bit boring at some points. It meandered a lot, but where they left off, they have a new cast. They've all been established. A fresh-faced Patrick Stewart moving forward,
Facelift.
and yes, and it potentially could be a great season two because don't forget, Shaban is gone.
It almost rhymes.
He's no longer the show. Shaban's no longer the show runner. He's out of the stadium. Maybe they can find somebody better. I mean, because it'd be hard to do.
To be
worse.
honest, the episode itself, it was not as bad as a lot of the other episodes. It was there were parts I really enjoyed about it. There were parts that I was guffawing at, and I was just sighing unbelievably. But there were parts that I was like, yeah, this is actually quite enjoyable. Like I'm actually really enjoying this episode. There are like they need to cut down on jumping from topic to topic, never really sticking on things. They need to stop treating it like a movie and just tell a good story.
They really need to let the show breathe. And we saw that in the Nepenthe episode, where characters were now having conversations as opposed to just stating points back and forth to one another.
It was brilliant that Riker was like, "Oh yes, well I can't just stay on my forest making pizzas all day."
Yeah, it's like they preemptively knew that all fans would just say, "Oh, hey, there's Riker just making pizzas, making a pizza the entire day long."
I loved it. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I just really like Frakes in general. I really like him, and he could probably, in my opinion, he could probably do no wrong. But anyway,
he's such a warm personality that it lights up the screen. Okay, so if you liked what you saw here and you want to see more, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and comment below if you have any suggestions for what you'd like us to cover. At the moment, we're currently watching Kingdom on Netflix, so we'll probably do a review on that as soon as we're both finished Season 2. But until then, for the Hologrumps, existence is futile.